The vast control room of the International Space Station hummed with the usual background noise of machinery and chatter. Dr. Sarah Chen, the lead scientist on board, floated gracefully towards her workstation, her long black hair tied back in a neat ponytail. It was just another ordinary day in space, or so she thought. As Sarah settled into her daily routine of checking the various systems and experiments, a sudden beep from one of the consoles caught her attention. She frowned, pushing off gently to glide over to the source of the sound. "That's odd," she muttered to herself, her eyes scanning the readout on the screen. The station's deep space sensors had picked up an unusual signal, unlike anything they had encountered before. Sarah called over to her colleague, Dr. James Peterson, who was busy adjusting a camera on the other side of the module. "James, can you come take a look at this?" The tall, lanky astrophysicist made his way over, his brow furrowed in concentration as he examined the data. "This can't be right," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "The signal's origin. It's coming from way beyond our solar system." Excitement began to build in the cramped quarters of the space station. The six-person crew gathered around the console, each offering theories and speculations about the mysterious signal. "Could it be some kind of natural phenomenon?" asked Colonel Yuki Tanaka, the mission commander. "Unlikely," Sarah replied, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she ran various analyses. "The pattern is too regular, too intentional." As the hours ticked by, the signal grew stronger and clearer. The ISS crew worked tirelessly, analyzing every bit of data they could gather. It was Dr. Chen who finally made the breakthrough. "It's a message," she announced, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "And I think I've decoded part of it." The crew held their breath as Sarah read out the partial translation. "Help, stranded, fleet." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a signal from space. It was a distress call from an alien civilization. Down on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Governments convened emergency meetings, scientists pored over the data relayed from the ISS, and the public's imagination ran wild with speculation and excitement. In Washington, D.C., President Alicia Morrison sat at the head of a large table in the Situation Room, surrounded by her top advisors and military officials. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. "What are our options?" the president asked, her steely gaze moving from one face to another. General Thompson, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, cleared his throat. "Madam President, from a military standpoint, we need to consider the potential threats. This could be a trap, a prelude to an invasion." Dr. Eliza Wong, the newly appointed director of NASA, shook her head vehemently. "With all due respect, General, that's highly unlikely. The signal originates from so far away that any potential hostile force would take years, if not decades, to reach us. This is a cry for help, not a threat." The debate raged on for hours. Some argued for caution, others for immediate action. As the sun began to set outside the White House windows, President Morrison raised her hand for silence. "We have an opportunity here," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "An opportunity to not only make first contact with an alien civilization, but to extend a helping hand across the stars. I believe that's what we, as humans, do best." She stood up, her decision made. "We will answer this call. We will mount a rescue mission." The room erupted in a flurry of activity. Plans were drawn up, resources allocated, and a global coalition began to form. The greatest minds on Earth came together, pooling their knowledge and expertise to tackle the monumental task ahead. As news of the decision spread, the world watched and waited with bated breath. In every corner of the globe, humans looked up at the night sky with a new sense of wonder and purpose. For the first time in history, humanity stood united with a common goal: to reach out across the cosmic ocean and offer help to a stranded alien fleet. The adventure of a lifetime was about to begin, and Earth would never be the same again. The world moved at a frantic pace in the weeks following President Morrison's announcement. Every nation, every scientist, every engineer had a part to play in humanity's greatest endeavor yet. At NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, the newly formed International Space Rescue Command, ISRC, was a hive of activity. Dr. Eliza Wong, now the mission director, stood before a massive holographic display of the solar system, her eyes fixed on the blinking dot that represented the source of the alien distress signal. "We have less than a year to prepare," she addressed the room full of the world's top scientists and engineers. "We need to build a ship capable of interstellar travel, develop new propulsion systems, and train a crew for unprecedented challenges. Failure is not an option." Among the crowd, a young propulsion engineer named Raj Patel raised his hand. "Dr. Wong, I think I might have a solution for the propulsion problem." All eyes turned to Raj as he explained his idea for a revolutionary fusion drive. It was risky, untested, but if it worked, it could cut their travel time by more than half. "Get on it, Patel." Dr. Wong nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "You have a team and all the resources you need." Meanwhile, in a state-of-the-art facility in Siberia, potential crew members from around the world underwent rigorous training. Captain Lai Wei, a decorated Chinese taikonaut, emerged as a natural leader among the candidates. During a particularly grueling simulation, Lai noticed a fellow trainee, U.S. Air Force Major Sarah Rodriguez, struggling with a complex repair task. Without hesitation, he floated over to help. "Here," Lai said, guiding Sarah's hands. "If you approach it from this angle, it's easier to reach the circuitry." Sarah smiled gratefully. "Thanks, Lai. I guess we all have a lot to learn." "That's why we're here," Lai replied. "To learn, to grow, to become the best team Earth has to offer." Their camaraderie was a microcosm of the unprecedented global cooperation happening around the world. Old rivalries were set aside. Borders became meaningless in the face of this cosmic challenge. As months passed, progress was made at an astonishing rate. Raj's fusion drive proved successful in initial tests. New life support systems were developed, capable of sustaining a crew for years in deep space. Revolutionary AI systems were integrated into the ship's core, designed to assist with everything from navigation to alien communication. Finally, the day arrived when the ship, christened Odyssey, was unveiled to the world. It stood gleaming on the launch pad, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. At 300 meters long, with its sleek design and advanced technology, it was unlike anything ever built before. The night before the launch, Captain Lai Wei stood alone on the observation deck, gazing at the stars. Dr. Elena Volkov, the mission's exobiologist, joined him. "Nervous?" she asked softly. Lai shook his head. "Excited. Tomorrow, we make history. We carry the hopes and dreams of our entire species with us." Elena nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "And we might just save another species in the process." As dawn broke, the launch site was buzzing with activity. The chosen crew of 8, representing 6 different countries, made their way to the Odyssey. Millions watched around the world as they entered the ship, each step broadcast live to every corner of the globe. Inside the control room, Dr. Wong's fingers hovered over the launch command. President Morrison's voice came through the speakers, addressing not just the crew in the control room, but the entire world. "Today, we take our first steps into a larger universe. We go not as Americans, not as Chinese, not as Russians, but as representatives of Earth. We go to offer help, to extend friendship, and to show that humanity, when united, can achieve the impossible. Godspeed, Odyssey." Dr. Wong pressed the button. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The fusion drive hummed to life, its energy contained by magnetic fields. 7, 6, 5. Captain Li Wei's voice came through the comm system. "Odyssey ready for launch. 4, 3, 2, The world held its breath. 1. With a roar that seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth, Odyssey lifted off. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, it climbed into the sky, punching through clouds, reaching for the stars. As the ship disappeared from view, a deafening cheer erupted around the world. Humanity's greatest adventure had begun. The mission to rescue a stranded alien fleet was underway, carrying with it the hopes, dreams, and best wishes of an entire planet. The Odyssey streaked across the sky, a bright new star in the heavens, heading towards an unknown future and a rendezvous with destiny. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Odyssey as it hurtled through the cosmos at speeds never before achieved by human technology. Inside the ship, the crew of 8 settled into their new routines, each day bringing them closer to their unprecedented rendezvous. Captain Lai Wei floated into the ship's command center, his movements graceful in the zero-gravity environment. "Status report," he called out, his voice calm and steady. Major Sarah Rodriguez, seated at the navigation console, responded first. "We're on course, Captain. The fusion drive is performing beyond expectations. At this rate, we'll reach the coordinates of the alien fleet in just under 8 months." Dr. Elena Volkov, the exobiologist, chimed in from her workstation. "Life support systems are stable. The algae farms are producing oxygen at optimal levels." Lai nodded, a small smile on his face. Despite the enormous pressures of their mission, his crew was performing admirably. As the weeks turned into months, the crew faced challenges they had never anticipated. Micrometeorites peppered the ship's hull, requiring constant vigilance and repairs. Solar flares forced them to alter course, adding precious time to their journey. But it was the psychological toll that proved most challenging. The vastness of space, the isolation from Earth, and the weight of their mission began to wear on even the most stalwart crew members. One evening, as the ship's day cycle was winding down, Lai found Raj Patel, the propulsion engineer, staring out of the observation window, his usually cheerful face clouded with worry. "Everything all right, Raj?" Lai asked, placing a comforting hand on the younger man's shoulder. Raj sighed. "I was just thinking about home, about my family. And then I realized, what if we can't help these aliens? What if we came all this way for nothing?" Lai was quiet for a moment, considering his words carefully. "Raj, whether we succeed or fail in our primary mission, we've already achieved something incredible. We've united our world in a common cause. We've pushed the boundaries of human knowledge and exploration further than ever before. Whatever happens, this journey matters." Raj nodded, some of the worry leaving his face. "You're right, Captain. Thank you." As they approached the 6th month of their journey, excitement began to build. They were entering a region of space never before explored by humans. Every day brought new discoveries, strange phenomena that challenged their understanding of the universe. Then, on a day like any other, alarms blared throughout the ship. The crew rushed to their stations, adrenaline pumping. "Report," Lai commanded as he entered the command center. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the communications specialist, called out, "Captain, we're picking up a signal. It matches the frequency of the original distress call." The crew held their breath as Yuki worked to clean up the transmission. Slowly, a voice emerged from the static. The words were unintelligible, but the tone was unmistakable, a plea for help. "Can we respond?" Lai asked, his heart racing. Yuki nodded, her fingers flying over her console. "Sending our greeting message now, the one we prepared with the linguistics team back on Earth." Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours. Then suddenly, a response came through. This time, to everyone's shock, it was in broken, heavily accented English. "Humans, you came. We thank you." A cheer erupted from the crew. First contact had been made. Over the next few days, communication with the alien fleet became more frequent. They learned that the aliens called themselves the Zarquin, a spacefaring race that had suffered a catastrophic drive failure while exploring this region of space. Finally, after nearly 8 months of travel, the Odyssey rounded a large gas giant, and there, floating in the darkness, was the Zarquin fleet. Dozens of ships, some as large as cities, hung motionless in space. Their designs were organic, almost coral-like, utterly alien yet hauntingly beautiful. As the Odyssey approached, the crew gathered at the observation window, their faces filled with awe and anticipation. They had traveled further than any humans in history, faced countless challenges, and now stood on the brink of a new era for humanity. Captain Li Wei's voice, filled with emotion, broke the silence. "Send the message we prepared. Let them know we're here to help." As the signal was sent, the crew of the Odyssey watched in amazement as lights began to flicker to life across the alien fleet. It was a sight none of them would ever forget. The moment when humanity reached out across the stars and made a difference. Their real work was just beginning, but in that moment, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they had already changed the course of human history forever. The Odyssey hung in space, dwarfed by the massive Zarquin mothership. Captain Li Wei stood at the airlock, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Behind him, Dr. Elena Volkov and Major Sarah Rodriguez waited, each lost in their own thoughts about the historic moment that was about to unfold. "Remember," Li said, turning to his crew, "we're not just representing Earth. We're the first humans these beings have ever met. Let's make a good impression." The airlock hissed open, revealing a long, organic-looking corridor. The walls pulsed with a soft, bioluminescent light, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The 3 humans stepped forward, their magnetic boots clicking softly against the alien metal. As they rounded a bend, they came face to face with their hosts. The Zarquin were unlike anything they had imagined. Standing about 7 feet tall, their bodies were covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors like oil on water. They had 4 arms, each ending in delicate, 6-fingered hands. But it was their eyes that captured the humans' attention. Large, multifaceted orbs that seemed to take in everything at once. One of the Zarquin stepped forward, its scales rippling with shades of blue and green. When it spoke, the words came out in a melodious hum, translated instantly by the advanced AI in the humans' earpieces. "Welcome, beings of Earth. I am Zorax, Chief Navigator of the Zarquin fleet. We are grateful for your arrival." Captain Li bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "We are honored to meet you, Zorax. I am Captain Li Wei. With me are Dr. Elena Volkov and Major Sarah Rodriguez. We've come to offer our assistance." Zorax's scales flickered with what the humans assumed was emotion. "Your journey must have been long and perilous. Please, follow us to the council chamber. There is much to discuss." As they walked, Dr. Volkov couldn't contain her scientific curiosity. "Your ship," she said, gesturing to the living walls. "It's biomechanical, isn't it?" Zorax's eyes sparkled with what might have been amusement. "Indeed. Our vessels are grown, not built. They are as alive as we are." The council chamber was a vast, dome-shaped room. In the center stood a holographic display of the Zarquin fleet, surrounded by what appeared to be the alien equivalent of computer terminals. Several more Zarquin were waiting for them, their scales a rainbow of colors. One of them, with scales that shimmered like starlight, spoke. "I am Kelthra, High Counselor of the Zarquin. We have been stranded in this sector for what you would call 3 of your Earth years. Our main drive, the heart of our fleet, suffered a catastrophic failure. We lack the resources to repair it." Major Rodriguez stepped forward, her engineer's mind already racing. "If you could show us the drive systems, we might be able to help. Our technology is different, but perhaps together we can find a solution." Kelthra's scales rippled with hope. "You would do this for us? Beings you have just met?" Captain Li nodded firmly. "That's why we came. To help, to learn, to forge bonds of friendship across the stars." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. The humans were shown to the drive core, a massive chamber pulsing with strange energies. Major Rodriguez and Raj Patel, conferencing in from the Odyssey, pored over the alien technology, their minds working overtime to understand its intricacies. Meanwhile, Dr. Volkov engaged in a fascinating exchange of biological knowledge with the Zarquin scientists. She learned that their species had evolved in the oceans of a distant world, only taking to the stars a few millennia ago. As the Earth Day drew to a close, the humans prepared to return to the Odyssey. The initial excitement had given way to a deep sense of purpose. They had a monumental task ahead of them, but also an unprecedented opportunity for collaboration and learning. Before they left, Zorax approached Captain Lai. "We have communicated your arrival to our homeworld," the alien said, its scales shimmering with emotion. "They wish to extend an invitation. If we can repair our fleet, would you journey with us? See the wonders of our corner of the galaxy?" Lai felt a thrill run through him. This was more than they could have ever hoped for. He glanced at his crew, seeing the same excitement mirrored in their eyes. "It would be our honor," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. "Let's fix your ships first, and then the real adventure can begin." As they made their way back to the Odyssey, the three humans were quiet, each lost in thought. They had come to space expecting to perform a rescue. Instead, they found themselves on the brink of an epic journey, one that would reshape humanity's understanding of the universe and its place in it. The stars seemed to shine brighter as the Odyssey's airlock closed behind them. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new possibilities. The future, vast and unknown, beckoned. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. The crew of the Odyssey worked tirelessly alongside their new Zarquin allies, tackling the monumental task of repairing the alien fleet's main drive. Major Sarah Rodriguez wiped sweat from her brow as she studied the complex biomechanical systems of the Zarquin mothership. Despite the advanced AI translators, understanding the alien technology was proving to be a significant challenge. "It's like nothing we've ever seen before," she muttered to Raj Patel, who was examining a pulsating component that seemed to be part machine, part living organism. Raj nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's incredible. Their technology doesn't just use energy, it grows it. But that's also what's making it so hard to fix." Nearby, Dr. Elena Volkov was deep in conversation with Zarquin scientist Tellera. They were comparing notes on the biological aspects of the ship's systems. "So, the ship's core is sensitive to specific bioelectric frequencies?" Elena asked, her voice filled with fascination. Tellera's scales rippled in agreement. "Yes, but the failure has disrupted the harmonic balance. We've been unable to restore it." As the humans struggled to understand the alien technology, the Zarquin were equally amazed by the ingenuity of their human counterparts. They watched in awe as Captain Lai Wei coordinated the efforts, bringing together the diverse skills of his crew to tackle problems from multiple angles. On the third day of their efforts, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Yuki Tanaka, the communications specialist, had been quiet for hours, her eyes closed in deep concentration as she listened to recordings of the ship's core. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. "I've got it," she exclaimed, startling everyone in the room. "The core, it's not just a machine. It's singing." The room fell silent as Yuki explained her theory. The bioelectric frequencies weren't just power sources. They were a complex language. The core wasn't simply broken. It was out of tune with the rest of the ship. Excitement rippled through both humans and Zarquin. This was the key they had been looking for, but how to use this knowledge to fix the drive? It was Raj who came up with the solution. "What if we use our fusion drive to emit a harmonic frequency, like a tuning fork for the ship's core?" The next few hours were a flurry of calculations and preparations. The Odyssey was carefully maneuvered into position near the Zarquin mothership's core. Raj worked feverishly to modify the fusion drive, while Yuki fine-tuned the frequency. As they prepared for the attempt, tension filled the air. If this didn't work, they were back to square one. If it did, they might just save an entire civilization. Captain Lee's voice came over the comm system. All personnel, brace for energy pulse in 3, 2, 1. A vibration ran through both ships as the Odyssey's modified fusion drive emitted a powerful, carefully calibrated pulse. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the lights in the Zarin ship began to pulse in rhythm with the Odyssey's signal. Telera's scales flashed with excitement. The core, it's responding. The harmonic balance is being restored. Cheers erupted from both human and Zarin crews as systems across the alien fleet began to come back online. The main drive, dormant for years, hummed to life, its bioluminescent glow spreading throughout the ship. In the midst of the celebration, Captain Lee felt a gentle touch on his shoulder. He turned to see Zorax, the Zarin chief navigator, its scales shimmering with an emotion that needed no translation. "You have done more than repair our ships," Zorax said, its voice filled with gratitude. "You have given us back our future. The Zarin will never forget this." Lai smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. "This is just the beginning," he said. "There's so much we can learn from each other." As the initial excitement settled, the real work began. Over the next few weeks, humans and Zarin worked side by side, sharing knowledge and technologies. The humans learned about biomechanical engineering and living ships, while the Zarin marveled at the adaptability and creative problem-solving of their human allies. With each passing day, the bond between the two species grew stronger. What had started as a rescue mission was rapidly evolving into something much more significant, the foundation of an interstellar friendship that could change the course of both civilizations. As the repairs neared completion, both humans and Zarin looked to the stars with renewed hope and excitement. The universe suddenly seemed a little smaller, a little friendlier, and filled with endless possibilities. The adventure they had dreamed of was about to begin in earnest. Together, they would explore the cosmos, two species united by curiosity, compassion, and the spirit of discovery. With the Zarin fleet fully repaired and operational, the time had come to begin the long journey back to Earth. The excitement was palpable as both human and alien crews made their final preparations. Captain Lai Wei stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, watching as the massive Zarin ships gracefully maneuvered into formation around them. The sight was breathtaking, a blend of human and alien technology, ready to traverse the cosmos together. "All systems check complete, Captain," reported Major Sarah Rodriguez from her station. "We're ready for departure." Lai nodded, a smile playing on his lips. "Send the message to the Zarin fleet. Let's go home." As one, the fleet of ships engaged their drives. The stars blurred around them as they entered faster-than-light travel, the vastness of space bending to their will. The journey back to Earth was filled with wonders and challenges. The human crew of the Odyssey split their time between their own ship and the Zarin vessels, learning more about their new allies with each passing day. Dr. Elena Volkov spent countless hours in the Zarin biological laboratories, marveling at their advanced understanding of genetics and evolutionary biology. "Their ability to manipulate living organisms is incredible," she reported during one of the daily briefings. "They can grow entire ecosystems within their ships." Meanwhile, Raj Patel was like a kid in a candy store, diving deep into the intricacies of Zarin propulsion systems. He worked closely with the alien engineers, finding innovative ways to combine human and Zarin technologies. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. About halfway through their journey, the fleet encountered a massive ion storm, a swirling maelstrom of charged particles that threatened to tear their ships apart. "Evasive maneuvers," Lai shouted as the first waves of the storm hit the Odyssey. The ship shuddered under the assault, its shield straining against the onslaught. Across the fleet, human and Zarin crews worked in perfect harmony, their recent experiences fostering a deep trust and understanding. The Zarin ships, with their organic technology, were able to adapt more quickly to the changing conditions of the storm. They formed a protective barrier around the Odyssey, their bioshields pulsing with energy. Inside the Odyssey, Yuki Tanaka had an idea. "Captain," she called out, her fingers flying over her console, "if we can modify our communication array to emit a counter-frequency to the storm, we might be able to create a safe passage." Lai didn't hesitate. "Do it." For tense minutes, the fate of the fleet hung in the balance. Then, slowly but surely, a path began to open up in the heart of the storm. The combined efforts of human ingenuity and Zarin biotechnology had saved the day. As they emerged from the other side of the storm, a cheer went up across the entire fleet. It was a victory that cemented the bond between the two species. In the quieter moments of their journey, the human crew often found themselves reflecting on the enormity of what they had accomplished and what lay ahead. They were bringing an alien species to Earth, a moment that would forever change the course of human history. One evening, as the blue marble of Earth finally appeared on their long-range sensors, Captain Lai gathered his crew in the Odyssey's observation lounge. The Zarin leaders joined them via holographic projection. "We set out on this mission to save a stranded alien fleet," Lai began, his voice filled with emotion. "But we've gained so much more. We've forged a friendship across the stars, learned things about the universe and ourselves that we never could have imagined." Orcs, the Zarin chief navigator, its scales shimmering with agreement, added, "Our peoples have much to offer each other. This is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a grand adventure." As Earth grew larger in their viewport, the crews of both fleets prepared for the historic moment of first contact. News of their approach had been sent ahead, and the entire planet waited with bated breath for the arrival of their cosmic visitors. The Odyssey led the way, the Zarin ships following in a majestic procession. As they entered Earth's orbit, a message came through from Mission Control, filled with joy and anticipation. Captain Lai turned to his crew, his eyes shining with pride and excitement. "Well, everyone, we made it. Let's introduce Earth to its new neighbors." As the fleet began its descent towards the designated landing site, humans and Zarin alike felt the weight of the moment. They were about to step into a new era, one of interstellar cooperation, shared knowledge, and boundless possibilities. The adventure that had begun with a distress call from deep space was far from over. In fact, for humanity and the Zarin, the greatest chapter was just about to begin. The skies over the Nevada desert blazed with light as the Odyssey and the Zarin fleet made their final approach. Millions of people around the world watched breathlessly on screens of all sizes, witnessing the moment that would change human history forever. Captain Li Wei's voice crackled over the global broadcast. "Odyssey to Earth Control. We are beginning our landing sequence. The Zarin fleet is right behind us." On the ground, a massive crowd had gathered at the edges of the secure landing zone. World leaders, scientists, and representatives from every nation on Earth stood side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of this monumental event. With a gentle hum, the Odyssey touched down, kicking up a cloud of desert dust. Moments later, the massive Zarin ships descended, their bioluminescent hulls glowing softly in the twilight. For a few seconds, everything was still. Then, with a hiss of equalizing pressure, the Odyssey's main hatch opened. Captain Lai Wei stepped out, followed by his crew. They stood tall and proud, their faces a mixture of joy, exhaustion, and wonder. A murmur ran through the crowd as the first Zarin emerged from their ship. Orcs, followed by Kelithra and other Zarin leaders, glided down the ramp, their scales shimmering with a rainbow of colors that reflected their complex emotions. President Alicia Morrison stepped forward, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "On behalf of the people of Earth, I welcome you to our world, friends from the stars." Zorx's translator hummed to life. "We are honored by your welcome, people of Earth. We come in peace and friendship, with gratitude in our hearts for the brave humans who came to our aid." As the formal greetings were exchanged, Dr. Elena Volkov couldn't help but smile at the awe on the faces of her fellow scientists. She knew that the knowledge they had gained, and would continue to gain, would revolutionize every field of study. Raj Patel stood nearby, already deep in conversation with a group of wide-eyed engineers, explaining the marvels of Zarquin biotechnology. "Imagine," he said excitedly, "ships that can heal themselves, engines that grow more efficient over time." Over the next few days, the world watched in amazement as humans and Zarquin shared their stories. News programs were filled with interviews of the Odyssey's crew and their alien counterparts. Social media exploded with memes, theories, and expressions of hope for the future. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were those who feared the aliens, who saw their arrival as a threat rather than an opportunity. Protests sprang up in some cities, their participants demanding that the Zarquin leave. In response, Captain Lai Wei and Zorax decided to embark on a global tour. They visited cities around the world, meeting with people from all walks of life. Everywhere they went, they shared their story of cooperation and friendship. In a powerful moment broadcast around the world, Lai and Zorax stood together at the United Nations. "We are two species," Lai said, his voice ringing through the assembly hall. "Born on different worlds, under different suns, but we have proven that the things that unite us, curiosity, compassion, the desire to explore and understand, are stronger than any differences." Zorax added, its scales glowing with sincerity, "We offer our knowledge and friendship freely. Together, we can achieve wonders beyond imagination." As weeks turned into months, the impact of the Zarquin's arrival began to take shape. Joint human-Zarquin research teams made breakthrough after breakthrough. New technologies emerged, promising to solve some of humanity's most pressing problems. Clean energy sources based on Zarquin bioreactors began to replace fossil fuels. Medical treatments inspired by alien biology offered hope for curing previously incurable diseases. Plans were drawn up for the first joint human-Zarquin space station, a stepping stone to further exploration of the galaxy. 1 year after the landing, Captain Lai Wei stood once again in the Nevada desert, looking up at the stars. Beside him, Zorax's scales shimmered with contentment. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Lai asked. Zorax's multifaceted eyes twinkled. "When we sent out our distress call, we hoped for rescue. Instead, we found partners for the greatest journey of all." Lai nodded, a smile on his face. The exploration of the universe. As they stood there, a streak of light crossed the sky. The first ship of the new joint fleet, heading out to explore distant stars. It carried a crew of both humans and Zarquin, embarking on a mission of discovery that would have been impossible just a year before. The rescue of a stranded alien fleet had been just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, hand in hand with their new allies. The future stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities and adventures yet to come. And it had all started with a simple act of kindness, the decision to answer a call for help from the depths of space.